Hello, welcome to the Boring Show, episode 4. With me today is Matt.
Andrew couldn't make it today, so I'm the stopgap again for this episode.
Yeah, I'm Filip. I'm still Filip. I'm back from vacation. I don't know anything about Flutter anymore, so this will be interesting. I forgot everything.
You should see what we did last week.
I did kind of see it, but yeah, it was. It's all good. So just like a refresher, Boring Show is here to kind of show development of Flutter apps in a way that's not edited at all. There's all the errors and words and everything is in, so that you have a chance to see us fail in a spectacular way and maybe learn something how we can recover, hopefully, of all these things. You know, it's Boring Show because it's long. It's often 1 hour. What we're trying to do is, for the last 3 episodes, we've been slowly, or actually pretty fast. We spent 3 hours building a Hacker News reader app, since what I saw last time, you guys went to, you already have networking in, right?
Yep, so what we did last time, we took built value and we wrapped our, or we built our data classes with those, which gave us JSON serialization. And so when we had that, what we did was we quickly added networking, which was pretty straightforward. And from there, we went back to the UI and we started to pull in the data over the network using a future builder to pull it in. So now you are, with the app in its current state, you're able to get the top stories, I believe, and you're able to click on them. And then we use the URL launcher package to let you full screen actually browse the URL for each story.
And it all works. Actually, as you can see on my screen, we can read the stories. We can lodge them in whatever the system gives you as the web browser. So that's all great. I think we've accrued for the past 3 episodes some technical debt, so that's what we're gonna fix.
Well, we accrued a lot of technical debt last episode, which now that you're back, you can fix. So that's right.
Great. No. I think for the whole thing, and that's an interesting part because nobody wants to deal with that, especially not on video. But we'll try and fix some of the most glaring issues. So that's the first part, and if we have time to delve more into stuff, there's been a lot of you asking for state management. How do I, work out? How do I not mix view logic and business logic and all that? And so we're in the same setup. If you've seen the I/O talk that we gave with Matt, that was about state management. So who else? All right.
So that should be pretty quick because we know what we're doing.
Yeah, and it won't. But we'll see that. So.
Right, where are we starting?
We're starting with the technical debt, right?
Okay.
So we started this project way back in, I think, February when we recorded the first one. And at that time, new was still a thing. So the keyword new. I just want to make sure that we don't have new anywhere. And that's pretty... Okay, so we don't have new here. This is all commented out for some reason.
Oh, that's the old JSON parsing code.
So let's just, part of it is just deleted things that we don't use. Okay, save delete. Did it do that? Looks like it didn't delete.
Are you sure nothing is still used in there? Because we have article, but where did we parse the... There was... We parse the original, there's a list of IDs that come through, so we might still be using that.
Yeah, we are, and it's in the JSON test. That's okay, so that's a good one. So we will delete that, and in JSON test, what did we... Oh, this is all commented out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually no longer here because you put it into article, which makes sense.
Yep, so we're going to be using the serializer, which comes from serializers.dart.
Yes. All right, so that fixes that. Let me see. Okay. News, there should be no news here. We're still on, okay. Oh, a lot of commented out stuff. Oh, I love deleting code. Cool. This is, I'm just gonna assume that this is there for some reason that we don't need to care about.
That's for parsing the, because when you make the first network call, it pulls back a list of integer IDs. And wrapping that in build value seemed like overkill because it's just a list of integer IDs. But when we parse the article, we have constructed the serializer automatically using built value because ton of stuff.
Right. Well, which is great. So I just I think I got rid of all the news here. So that's great. So I'm gonna commit. Get rid of news. We didn't actually get rid of comments. Oh, delete stuff.
Delete stuff. There we go. We have very descriptive GitHub comments.
Yes. You'll need that. So that's news. Do we need to refactor names of anything? I think so. I'm pretty okay with the article.
Yep.
I'm also okay with the serializers. Obviously, we still have only one widget, which is the app.
So you have a list of that list of IDs is probably being pulled automatically now.
I think it's not. I think we're still, because you see, I remember in the last episode you were also looking at why nobody ever wins the car at the mall.
Oh, we haven't actually wired that in.
We haven't, which is fine. Well, we'll have that as a to-do item today.
Yep, we should fix that up.
Well, in terms of names, I think we're fine. We don't have widgets outside the My App. It can still be My App.
Our tree's pretty shallow at the moment anyway.
Yes, which is fine. That's great. Testing. So we have the JSON test. Let's run it. So there's at least two things that will break now. All right, so the widget test is breaking because it isn't actually waiting for the data to load from the network. We haven't instrumented the app so that we can actually give it some things not from the network. So even in the test, we're actually asking for the network, which we could fix, but let's not do that now. Let's just leave it be, and we can maybe at the end of this episode or in the next episode we can instrument it so that it works.
Okay.
The JSON I'm a little more worried about. So we have this works. So the parse loop stories works. That's great. Yep. This also works. This seems to have a problem here, and that's that. We are actually assuming that the first article that we get from the best stories will always be authored by a D. Houston, which is not true. That was never a good test. So let's.
I mean, what you could do here is we could simply check that some of these fields are not null.
Exactly. Yes, it is not null. Right. So if I run it again, the widget test will fail, but these should not fail. And another thing that I want to do is, and I know you talked about this before, but this might want a longer timeout. I think that the timeout for a test is something like, the default one is, what's the default timeout? I won't figure it out now, but it's probably shorter than we want for a networking call. Also, networking call in a unit test is probably not a great idea.
No, you're talking more integration test.
Yes,
but at least get this one working.
Yes, and that's probably the best, because normally you would do like a different like file and there you would try this. It's probably better. It's definitely better to have it in a test. I'm just gonna do and skip this one by default, right?
Okay.
So so that our tests run faster. That's what I do normally. And if you want to, so like a really long running tests, you either just skip and then you do something like so normally you do a Flutter test, right? Not Flutter Rust. Flutter test.
You've been writing Rust code.
No. So this will fail and all that. If you want, but you know, our two tests that we wanted to test actually run through.
Yep.
That's great. And you see here, that's not very, but so you see that one of them failed, two of them passed, and one of them was skipped.
Okay, so it skipped the one that you marked as true, and the other one that's failing is the
Yes.
widget test that we're
Yes.
going to fix at some point in the
Yes.
near future. Okay.
And I thought there was a one skipped option. So Flutter test help. Okay, I'm thinking about another one. But anyway, so it's possible to say, hey, I want to also run the skipped tests. What I can do is, if you just do pub run test, I think like this. I have another dart. Anyway, you have to trust me for this one. All right, so with this, and I'm just gonna also maybe skip this one, so that we can easily.
But we're going to come back to those.
Yes.
And again, best practice that I certainly have done is when I'm doing network calls, I tend to just make some random network calls, save the JSON in a JSON file, add it in an assets folder for testing, and then I just use that for my tests.
Yes.
Which is a lot better than having to rely on your network being available all the time.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool.
So we have got all our tests working by skipping the tests that broke. Great. Okay.
And that's how you deal with technical debt.
Yes.
I think I had another one here. So we have the parse stop stories, and I think what you're doing here is basically you're decoding this as if you didn't have parse stop stories. So what I'm going to do here is just do that.
Oh, okay.
And just a little one. So okay, so another commit, deal with tests. Okay. Yeah, we did remove some commented out files. One thing that I saw here is that there is this line end comment that basically says, okay, these are the types that we expect this to have. We could have this as an enum value, for example, but I think it's fine to have it as a string. I just think this could be done as a doc comment instead of a comment at the end of the line. So you know, another thing about technical depths, often you don't have as much documentation as you would like. I just wanted to introduce the doc comments in Dart. Doc comments are great because, I'm not going to spend too much time, you know, coming up with a good text, but this is the type of the article, and then it can be either any of these. Right? And so what I want to show you is now whenever you use article anywhere, like here, and you like, okay, so type, it will show up in your IDE. This is really nice. Small. So, you know, you can do a bunch of things and reach comments and all that, but what Dart has a really good think about is these documentation comments. And documentation comments are just, you put them in front of anything that you want to document, and then you use 3 instead of 2 slashes.
So one thing we might want to explore, maybe not today but later, is that built value has its own enum type. Or sorry, enum type, but
that's true.
Support for building an enum class, which gives you much richer functionality than the out-of-the-box enums from Dart. In fact, we were talking to David Morgan, who wrote the library today, and he came from a Java background, so the support for enums in built value is more like Java enums than it is Dart enums. It might well be suitable here because everything plays well together in built value. So maybe in the future we could look at swapping that out with an enum, and that might make our life easier.
Yes, absolutely.
But something to consider for another time.
Yes, that's a really good idea. One thing that I also wanted to mention is that I just found out yesterday about this amazing tool called JSON to build value, which is done by, I forgot the name, by Rafal. And this is amazing because, let's see if we can, this basically is, you just put JSON here, and you say, oh, I want the root, dot object to be article, and you click convert, and suddenly you have these, just like all the things that you guys did for like 30 minutes, you have it right here. It's like, it obviously it cannot detect like nullable fields and stuff like this, so you'll still need to like actually understand what you're doing, but this can really help a lot, and it already has a to JSON, from JSON.
It gives you a lot of the, it gives you all the boilerplate, and you can tweak this for nullable and not nullable and whatnot afterwards. But what Filip is really trying to say, that the 30 minutes of built value that we sweated blood and tears over in the last episode has been replaced with a web app.
Yes, yes, you have been automated. Sorry. So cool. So definitely check this out. And I think this also is a nice way of showing that, this is built in Dart, and Dart can do web apps as well. So, you can either go and see how Rafal made this happen, but also, if you don't want to just like go and install a thing or whatever, you can just go to a website and put this in, and you're done.
Yeah, this is like Inception. We have a web app written in Dart to generate Dart code, which is then used by built value to generate more Dart code.
A Dart code that then communicates with a web interface. Just,
And the circle is complete.
Yes. All right. So, okay, I think, I hope this is not underwhelming, but I'm pretty happy with the state of our code base now. Obviously, we'd want to document more. We'd want to make sure that the tests actually, do something and all that. But we're kind of on in a place. I think I made this change. So let me just put this here. So add docs. All right. So now we are getting to the meat of this episode, and that is state management.
Okay, so we're gonna play with streams.
Let's try. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's try.
So set the stage. Why do we need state? What are we going to be doing?
So we currently, as this is implemented, we have our business logic right inside our widget.
We're making the network call inside our widget.
Yes.
We're using a future builder then to handle all that. So basically our UI and our network code is just munged together into this big main.dart file.
Correct. Yes. Also, it looks like, it's also a bit less testable now because, the app doesn't, it depends on networking. So that's why we have all these problems with the widget test. It's just nicer to have things, separate.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna do. We're going to use BLoC, which we talked about on our show, not show, on our talk at I/O. We could do anything else. We could actually go with setState. We could go with inherited widget.
Yeah, we could go with scoped model. We could go with Redux. But we're gonna try the BLoC stream method.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially here where the actual thing that you see here is more or less a stream of like news, really. So anyway, so we are gonna do that, and again, this is where I'm gonna be a little lost because I've literally haven't done this for weeks now. So we're going to have a Hacker News BLoC. So how I'm going to do this is we'll only have one BLoC, which will manage the state of what we basically everything the content that we're showing, right? So it will cache, so it will do the network requests. It will cache them.
Yep.
It will. What else can it do? It will manage once we can implement, switching from top stories to news stories. It can manage
so it'll pull different news feeds.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
So that you're kind of mixing responsibilities a little bit there, but because first cut we're going to keep things simple, we're going to have just one BLoC.
Yes. So, and as you may know from our talk, BLoC is a pretty simple class, and there are some rules that you need to deal with BLoC. The basic ones are all the outputs are streams and all the inputs are also streams. So there's no synchronous communication with
stream
BLoC.
in, stream out.
Yeah, stream in, stream out. Nice. So this is going to be called HN Hacker News BLoC. And so we're going to have subject, so output of articles, I guess.
Okay, so why don't you talk a little bit about what a behavior subject is, and not why is that? Tell me why that isn't a stream controller.
Oh, okay. So,
because typically with a stream, when I'm setting it up, I would create a stream controller, and a stream controller would give me a reference to a stream, but it would also give me an add method to add things into the stream.
That's true.
But you've got this behavior subject thing, which does something different.
Yes. So the nice thing and also a problem with streams is that they're asynchronous, while some things, especially the build method in Flutter, is synchronous. And so using a stream controller would totally work, but there would be one problem, and that is that if there's a change, for example, if Flutter now builds something and suddenly wants to show a page full of the articles, it will be empty until something about the articles changes. What behavior subject does is whenever someone new listens to it, it's the first thing it does, it will send you the latest the
last element pushed into the stream.
Yes.
So stream controller, I have to wait for something to actively come through the stream. Behavior subject, as long as one thing has come through the stream, I will always get the previous value when I start to listen on that stream.
Correct. Okay. I just realized that we need the...
Yes, and where can we find behavior subject?
Yes.
Because it's not part of the SDK.
It's not? It's in...
rxdart.
rxdart. Yes. Thank you. See? This is why you have applications. rxdart is now at 0.18. So that's what we're gonna add to our pub spec YAML. rxdart. We don't need this.
No.
And get packages.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Hey. Okay, so we'll get. For some reason, it doesn't. rxdart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Perfect.
we have that. So this is one thing. Okay, so let's just have that. Let's just have one output and no input. We'll add an input shortly, but this is all we need for now, right?
So, absolutely. But I see here that you're streaming a list of articles, which means that in the stream, it's not going to be one article at a time. It's going to be a list of articles. Why aren't we just getting one article after the other?
Yeah, so that would be really hard for us. We would have to have some kind of business logic in our views again to kind of put it all together, because it wouldn't be, you would never be sure when, you know, if you the list of articles tells you this is all the articles from top to bottom, how they are sorted, and at the end of the list, this is the end, right?
Yep.
Or the, while if it was just a stream of article, you would never know, oh, is this replacing the one at the bottom or at the top? Or so that's why you want a list or something similar.
And this is following one of the rules of BLoC, which is pass to the UI what you're going to represent in the UI and not have to have additional business logic in the UI.
That's right. Yes, yes. You don't want to force your UI logic to work for you. You basically want to push exactly what it needs and nothing else, nothing more.
So while this may seem, you know, a little counterintuitive or a little inelegant, this is actually going to make our UI code very, very, very clean. And there's nothing stopping you from also having a stream of articles in the block as well, if there was a good reason for doing that.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to rip out things from here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we need. So we'll keep the like hard-coded IDs
Okay.
for now. So what you wanna, yeah. So when we get to this get article, instead of just parsing and returning, it will actually populate the list of articles. We can have basically a cache, so that we don't always go to. So what I'm gonna do is there's gonna be a final variable that is gonna be private, and it's gonna be called articles, and that's gonna be this. You know what? It's just gonna be to keep things simple, and it's a list of articles.
Okay, so that initializes an empty list of articles.
Yes. And then oh, and we have more business logic here. We have this. So we're mapping over IDs and then getting articles for each of the IDs.
Yeah, and what we want to do is we just want to use a stream builder to listen for the list of articles when it's ready.
That's right.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna have a method here that get article. That's weird. Get a list of you know what? Get articles.
There you go.
And that's gonna get these IDs. And let's do it functionally, so it will map over them over the ID itself. Get article ID, and that's
so we're gonna have a slight problem here because get article ID is asynchronous.
yes.
So
So this is a this is now It's an iterable of future of article.
And I think there's a way in map to wait for map to finish after all the futures finish.
Yes, yes.
I cannot remember how to do that.
So, and that's why. So this is the first expand.
Because can you await?
Yeah, that would be great.
in the map ID, await get article ID.
Maybe not.
Let me have a quick look here.
So I think there is future wait, right? So if you have a iterable of futures and you want to await all of them, you can do a future wait, which is a static method on the future class, and it will return you a future with a list of the things. So if we do, okay, you know what? So future articles is this. We'll wait for the future articles. So final articles is this, and then we'll just return it.
The articles is going to be in. So future articles returns an iterator, not a list.
That's true, but it fortunately this takes an iterable.
Oh, and it's going to return. Oh, that's handy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do any of the list that you typically have to do when you're using lists.
Yes.
Yeah, in list view, that's nice.
So I think this should work. So now we have that. Oh, we didn't. We will need this.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we have this, we have get articles, and now all we need to do is we are gonna shoot when you create the block.
Yep.
It's gonna shoot this get articles.
So get articles is going to give us a.
Oh, you know what? We can actually. It's gonna give us the list of articles. You know what? We can actually do this. It doesn't need to give us anything. It will just void, and it will just assign this to articles. So it just updates. So maybe.
Okay. But you'll still need to know when to push articles into the stream.
Yes. So I'm just gonna bail out of this by using then. Wait.
There's no longer a future.
Oh. See. Okay.
Because you probably want to return a future just so you know that that's completed.
That's true. Yes. So I'm gonna return a future of null, and now I can then. That's gonna be a null value, so that's fine. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to add this to the article subject.
Yep. You're going to push the list of articles into the stream. Yep.
Right. So if we were really clean, we would make this maybe like wrap it in a unmodifiable list, so people, because this makes it push the actual articles list to
yes, so people could actually modify the list, and then that would modify the list everywhere.
Yes.
This should be a
unmodifiable list. So let's do this. Unmodifiable of articles. This is not like super performant, I guess, because we're making a copy, but there's also, I think there's an unmodifiable view of a list, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, that's in
Build collection has immutable collections as well,
right,
which would be an option.
Right. Oh, no. Dart collection actually has unmodifiable list view.
And that's a list. Okay.
So that's basically what we want. That's in Dart collection. Dart collection. Come on. And so now we have this. And
okay, cool.
Creates an unmodifiable list backed by the source. So it's not going to have a copy. It's just showing you this, and you
okay. So it's not copying the internals of the list. Okay. So now, so we have theoretically now we have our when we create the block, at some point in the near future, when it's done all the network pieces, it is going to pump an unmodifiable list of articles into the stream, which we can access through
this articles.
Which we can through articles.
All right, so let's see if that works.
Ooh, we're gonna have to change a lot of this.
That's true. So one thing I want to do here is I'm going to pass it down. So normally, and in our talk at I/O, what we did was we had this inherited widget that provided the blocks to the widgets below. We're not going to do it today because we have a really shallow widget tree. So what we can do is just put the block down through a constructor, right?
So we're going to make my app. So we're going to pass an instance of the block to my app, which is going to pass an instance of the block to my homepage.
So final HN block is Hacker News block. And in the future, hey,
there's no K in block.
Oh. Thank you. In the future, we would actually provide some kind of networking to the Hacker News block, so we can even do that, right?
So we'd inject some sort of, so we could make it testable at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So my app doesn't yet get this, so we need to create a constructor, and that will take our Hacker News block. Oh, you know what? Maybe we want to do this final block, this block. Okay. So now we have, that's the app.
And now we'll need to pass it down into my homepage as well.
All right, no problem.
This is why we would recommend for an app of any size to use inherited widget, because we have the flattest tree imaginable with 2 or 3 levels, and already we're having to pass through constructor by constructor. An inherited widget kind of takes care of all that for you. So, but for the time being, this is great.
Okay, cool. So we have it now accessible from here. So how do I'm gonna,
So our list view, we're gonna want to wrap our list view in a stream builder.
Right, we have the build item here. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. List view. Yes, you're right. So
we'll need to wrap the widget
with a stream builder. I think I have so live templates, by the way, very cool things in IntelliJ.
You told me about this.
And so I have one that's for stream builders, STMBLD, and that's gonna be a stream builder of unmodifiable view of article.
It does exactly what it says in the tin.
The stream is block. Oh no, it's in widget. Widget block articles. Yeah. Initial data is nothing.
Do we do need initial data?
Yeah, I mean,
well, actually, theoretically we don't, because we can. So one way we could leave that, but one way we could do it is in the builder. We could check to see if the connection is waiting. Then we know that it's actually streaming data.
Right. Well, let's yes.
But let's keep going with this. Okay.
Yes. So lists. So we have a list view, and the children of it are. Let's do it functionally. So we have the snapshot.
Data.
Oh, I'm just gonna say this is. Oh.
Whereas you don't have to put the type explicitly in. It helps the IDE an awful lot if you do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's
the whole thing.
Yeah, it's so. You know what? Modifiable list view of article. Well, okay.
We can tidy that up.
And then the data maps to some widgets.
Yep.
And that could just be build item, right? So we're passing a function, and that's that, I think.
There is a point though with, so it's going to create the block. The block is going to do some networking. The block is going to be created, but at this point the stream builder is already building. So maybe in this scenario, there is going to be no data in the snapshot because the article wouldn't have returned. So do we have to check?
Well, let's see.
That
so
if the snapshot has data.
Yeah, I think because we are providing initial data, that it will always be.
It puts it in snapshot.data.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I think we're there. Oh yeah, block. All right. So hot restart.
Now, because this is it stateful? No.
So what do we have here? A value of type stream can be assigned to a variable of type stream. Oh, we're importing two different articles. Is it possible? Try changing the type of the left.
Widget.block.articles.
Main 60. No, main 56 here. Interesting. Oh, you know what? So we're hitting an issue here with. So here we're importing the article as package, and here I think we're importing it as this. So this we're actually, this is a really good problem to happen upon on this show, because this can be really hard to debug. You're like, why is it complaining about a different type when it's the same type? The thing is, currently in Dart, there's this thing that's kind of infuriating, is that when you import by just a regular kind of path, versus if you import somewhere else by the package path, it will assume it's different, because actually it cannot know in advance, I think, that you're thinking of it. It just doesn't normalize this for some reason.
Well, I mean, yeah, theoretically the package could have been built earlier and the source code could have been changed. What I typically do is I've forced myself to use the package, the full-blown package signature.
Okay.
In the import.
We can do that.
What do you typically do?
I tend to do, like, if I'm in lib, I just do everything by not by package and everywhere else. But it doesn't. What we have here is just this. All right. So.
Wait, did that just work?
Yep, it did.
Hot restart.
It wasn't even a hot restart. Okay. So it seems like let me just restart everything. Yep. All right.
Wow. So we swapped out the future builder with the stream builder. We moved all of the code into the block. So we have all of our business logic compartmentalized now. And all the UI is doing, as far as I can tell, is it's like, hey, I'd like a stream of list of articles, please. And I'll just render that.
All right.
Nice.
So that seems like we're basically almost done. So that was the implementing of BLoC. So now over to you. So I'm going to push this to GitHub.
Okay.
Get prepared to get this from the latest. Where's the so implement BLoC and push.
Okay.
We normally have this. Yes, it's
okay.
that.
So what do I need to do? I need to. Where am I? Okay.
We normally have all this this very amazing animation where we split places, switch places. But we realized that it's kind of dangerous because then we force the other person to work with the ID of the first person, and especially with my ID, I wouldn't want that.
Filip is a heavily customized ID.
Yeah. Well, everyone has, but you know, mine is kind of crazy.
So let me just resolve a couple of merge things that I was playing with earlier. There we go. Okay. So let's see if I have the. So Filip was on you were doing Android Studio and
iPhone Simulator.
So I've got the iPhone Simulator, but I am using Visual Studio Code, and I have some red blocks. Okay, behavior subject. I need to get packages.
Right.
So I can use that from the command line.
Yeah, Matt is all about the command line.
I love me some command line.
I'm all about icons.
What is all this get through some app thing that you
I know, right? I know.
Okay, so I am going to do a hot restart. There we go.
So that's amazing. I'm still amazed that it works.
Yep, I have a stream builder, as you can see. I've got unmodifiable type. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to, because it's been driving me crazy.
All right. Yes, details, but important details.
There we go.
All right.
Hooray!
Yay.
Okay, so what would you like me to do? What should we do next?
Right. So I would like us to be able, as a user of this app, to be able to somehow switch between, because in Hacker News you have all these different views, but what we really want to just switch through right now is the top and the new, right? So sometimes you want to read the newest stuff that's happening in Hacker News, but at least me, I like to watch the top news.
Okay, so we could do that a couple of ways. We could have a bottom navigation bar with a couple of buttons, which will flip between them. I could put a toggle button in a modal pop-up or something like that. What do you think?
What I think? I don't have an opinion. I'm not a designer.
If you're relying on my design skills, this is not going to go well.
Right. No, I mean, whatever. I think we don't have that much time to implement this. So whatever is easiest to implement right now.
So why don't we start with just let's play around with the scaffold, and we'll stick in a bottom navbar.
Okay.
What I would do at this point is I would break out the body into a separate widget and this, that, and the other. But because we're manually passing through the block, I don't want to have to deal with passing blocks further down. So one of the things we get with scaffold, we have an app bar, we have a body, we also have a bottom navigation bar. And a bottom navigation bar, there's a couple of ways we could do this. I haven't implemented one of these for a while, so we'll see. There's not a back button. There's a bottom app bar, which will give us complete flexibility. Or there's a bottom navigation bar, which allows us to put icons in. So if we put in a bottom navigation bar, it's great. What does it need? It needs a list of bottom navigation bar items. So we are going to give it items, which is going to be a list, and I think that's all it is required here. So then what we need to put in here is a bottom navigation bar item.
Nice.
And a bottom navigation bar item is going to require an icon and a title. So title will be top stories. And I bet this is going to be a widget. So this is going to be text of op stories.
Yeah.
And this is also going to need an icon. And so I am going to give this an icon. Icon. Is there a news one? News.
Yeah, let's do this. The new releases looks good.
Let's just go new releases. Now I'm going to have to close this up. And
items
it has to, we have to have at least two.
Ooh, interesting.
So we're going to take this.
That's good because we have exactly two.
We have exactly two. New stories.
Oh, you have top stories and new stories. Yeah. We have the wrong icon for the new stories.
Okay. Okay. So we'll make this new stories, and we'll make this icon. There, top, because it points upwards.
Right.
If you want to find out what all the icons are, if you go over to Flutter and search for icons, the icons class, they are all in here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and there are so many.
They are actually in the documents. That's amazing.
So you can scroll this to your heart's content. But let us get back to where we are.
It actually looks good. I saw it.
Oh, there we go.
There. Oh, that's awesome.
So now we have top stories and we have news stories. Now, one of the issues with the bottom nav bar is that you have to put a little bit of logic in here.
Right.
So, for example, current index. So we could do current index of 1, and what you'll see then is this will highlight.
Ooh, okay.
But we need to handle the on tap and the other pieces. Right. And this is where it can get a little bit messy. But for each of these bottom navigation bar items, we do not have a tap. What do we have here? We have double, we have on tap, but that's the on tap for the bottom navigation bar item. So how would I typically do this?
So this is the UI logic. So I'm fine with using set state or something like this. We could just have what do they call it? Current index.
I'm going to go to the definition.
Right.
So we have a bottom navigation bar. That's fine. And then in here we have an on tap. This is called when an item is tapped. And that gives us an int, which is the index. So what I can do in here now is I can go on tap, which is going to be a function.
The navigation bar has an on tap. Okay. Yep. Okay, that's good.
I think it does. Wait, I shouldn't put that in my list of. I should put that. Let's just. Let's put this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it will give you an int. Okay,
yeah,
that's really that's clever. Okay.
And at this point, what I would do in here is I would have, I would put this in a stateful widget, and I would have the index, and I would switch between. We might get to that, but let's at least get our on taps working. So, if index is 0, print top stories tapped, else print new stories. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So I'm going to get rid of these. There we go, top stories and new stories.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so that's good. We are going to now want to, so if I hit top stories.
So one way to do this would be to just say to have an input on the BLoC, and that input would only accept like top stories or new stories, and from here you would just like do that, and that's it.
Okay, so let's take a look. So we are going to check out our, where is your BLoC code?
HN BLoC.
HN BLoC. Okay, so our BLoC is here.
You can just assume you don't need to implement this. You just maybe even just assume there's a stream controller or like subject that you can add to, and that's it.
So everything coming, do we want to make this all the inputs are streams, right?
Yes, yes.
So we would want an incoming stream for changing, for updating the stories.
Yeah, yeah.
So what would that look like?
That would be, oh, yeah.
So I have a stream of, let's get rid of this. I have a stream of a modifiable list of get articles. So I would have a, actually what I would have a new behavior subject. No.
Right. You know what? Just do the sync of either enum or something like this, and I will take care of the underlying thing so that we don't need to.
Why don't I check this in, push it, and then you implement that piece, and then I can finish it off.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise you will be.
Yes.
Tell me what to type next, Philip.
Yes, yes, yes.
So git.
All right, so I'll just get this back, and meanwhile we realize that we're actually coming to 1 hour, which of boring.
So let's see what we can get done in the next few minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you want you want to deal with an incoming stream, so you're going to create a sync.
Yes. All right. So this works.
Yep.
So here I'm gonna add a sync, and I have another handy template, and that's gonna be a sync of stories type.
Oh, you're gonna make it an enum?
Yep.
Okay.
And so it's a sync backed by a stream controller for now. Let's keep that. I'm going to do the enum here. So stories type, and so top and new for now. Oh, top stories and new stories. New is a keyword. New stories. Right. So we're accruing more technical debt, as you can see, by like naming crazy and all that. But that's fine. And now I just need to listen to that. So stories type. Listen.
Yep.
Oh, stream listen. Sorry. And that's okay. So stories type. And
so what we could do is we could rename update articles to update top articles and update. Well, where are you doing the call? Basically, the only thing we need to swap through here is the change the story URL.
We still because okay, so we still have this. So we still don't have the what IDs we're actually getting. So this could take a list of integers that you actually want to get, right? So list of int of article IDs.
Maybe we just want to take the current list and split it in half and make one half top stories and one half the other.
Yep.
And that way then we can we can do the actual networking next time.
So this is now const or static list of, let's say this is new IDs, and there's another one, static list of top IDs, and here by default we're doing the top stories, so top IDs, And then, so that's the first one. So when we create
so it populates it with top.
Yep.
Yep.
And then here we're listening to that, and we're doing. Okay, so if stories type equals stories type new stories, then we just do update articles.
Yep, because that will push a new list into the stream.
Right.
And we don't care that it's asynchronous because
right.
It will push through a stream.
I just want to. We still need to push the articles there. Oh. Yeah, I just don't want to repeat myself, so I'm going to do like list int of IDs. Is going to be undefined by default, but
I see what you're doing. Okay.
this is going to be so new stories, new IDs, and else we could have a switch statement. That would be probably nicer. Anyway, so IDs is top IDs, and then we could do article subject at. Ooh, we still need to get the actual articles.
Yeah, you just need to do update articles with the IDs. So basically,
yes,
it's that whole same piece.
Yeah. You know what?
Which you can just move into a.
Get articles and update.
Your naming is accruing so much technical debt.
I know. Okay. Get articles and update.
We'll have to pass in the IDs.
And IDs.
That's going to be a list of IDs.
That's right. Thank you. IDs. And here, then we can do exactly that. You know what?
Yeah.
What now? Oh, because of course
stuff.
And this. All right.
You can get rid of the list of int IDs.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And now let's see. So are we actually sending it there? No, we're not.
So
let's see if it even works, because now we should have only. Yeah.
Okay.
Only
That worked.
few. All right.
So if you go back into the bottom, the nav bar.
Right.
You should be able to, instead of those prints. You should just be able to do widget.BLoC.
Right. I'm just add this because I'm a little scared about just having. Okay, and so.
Can you tell I used to write Python?
Widget block, stories type at, and so if it's 0, it's top stories.
Yes, it's going to be stories.top stories.
And here we have new stories. All right, let's do this.
Oh, there we go.
All right, so
we've got a bunch of things that we need to tidy up next session, which is tracking the state of the bottom nav bar, or using a different control. Actually, I kind of like that one. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And we probably want to tidy up we want to pull the live feed of IDs.
Right.
Those are relatively straightforward to do, but I'm afraid we're out of time for that.
Yep. No, I'm very happy. We have a new functionality. We put everything in BLoC. We got rid of some of the technical debt. We accrued new one, which is always great. And so yeah, so thanks for watching. Please, if you have things that you would like us to address or that are weird or not clear, please let us know. We're aware of the questions that you ask on the tag Flutter Boring Show. We just don't have the time to address them today, but next time. So you know, don't worry about it. We're still watching that.
We're accruing questions debt as well as technical
That's
debt.
true. Yes, and also, you know, Andrew is really great in answering them as they come in. So you know, don't feel like you have to wait until our next episode to ask and to get the answers. All right. So thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.